Hey, what's up YouTube? Welcome to YouTube Q&A number 9. Before we jump into today's Q&A, I just want to give you guys a quick update as to why I haven't posted on the YouTube channel in a while. I recently did an Instagram series on back pain tips where the goal was to post 30 back pain tips over 30 days straight. Now, while I didn't get 30 days straight, it was more like 33, 34 days. I put a lot of my effort and work into posting on Instagram, and that's why I didn't have as much time or time at all to really post to YouTube and produce content there. So what I would say is if you haven't checked out my Instagram page or you don't follow me on Instagram, to head over there because I posted 30 back pain tips related to exercise, things you should know about disc injuries, ways to spare the spine when lifting that you won't find on my YouTube channel and that I think could be very helpful to you. So I highly recommend you guys go check it out. My Instagram page is Remi Sovran, just first and last name. Now, that being said, let's just jump into today's YouTube Q&A. First question, what are your thoughts on an athlete returning to a sport like Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, which involves a lot of flexion? Apart from trying to alter one's game, is this even feasible sport to return to after disc herniation or disc bulge? So Brazilian Jiu Jitsu itself is a difficult sport to return to, especially if you have flexion-based back issues, in the case of a disc herniation impinging on a nerve root. With that being said, it is possible to return to it. You just need to be very strategic and smart with your training and your lifestyle with what you're doing outside of the gym and outside of the ring and jiu-jitsu itself. So to give you guys just an example, myself, I was able to return to hockey, which is a flexion-based sport where shooting involves flexing and twisting the spine. You have a lot of different flexion postures. You also have the risk of being checked or hit. And I was able to return to playing hockey about 2 to 3 times a week. Yes, it's more of a competitive beer league style where there's not really any contact, but people will still take a run at you once in a while, which is an unfortunate thing. But with that being said, I've been able to return pain-free. Now, just to comment a little bit more on jiu-jitsu, a couple tips: be very strategic and smart with your training. You can't be doing anything wrong in the gym, or that is just going to set things back significantly. What you're doing on a daily basis, your lifestyle, are you sitting all day, bending over? You have to be very strategic with that. And then when it also comes to wrestling or jiu-jitsu itself or grappling with somebody, you have to be very aware of your technique. So a lot of it's going to come down to more technical things when you get to that point, but the things that we have more control over outside of technical things like exercise, the program that we're following, we want to build core endurance, we want to educate someone on how to bend properly and how to spare the spine during the day. That will all have a carryover to helping one return to jiu-jitsu. Question 2, what do you think about doctors saying MRIs aren't that valid in classifying back pain? I have disc bulge and protrusion and my new doctor said it's muscular and that bulges show up in people without back pain. So I would agree with doctors saying that MRIs aren't that valid in classifying back pain. And if you actually ever hear Dr. McGill talk on a podcast about this issue, he talks about his assessment process. He always looks at the MRI last. He always conducts the physical assessment first and then correlates it with the MRI at the end. Now, the one thing with regards to disc bulges and disc protrusions, about 2/3 of the population, if you look to research, if you did an MRI on their back, would probably have disc bulge or disc protrusion, yet they're asymptomatic. Now, the reasons they're asymptomatic could be genetics, number of pain triggers one has. If one has less pain triggers, less of a pain response. One has more pain triggers, they may have a greater pain response. We also look at the anatomy of the disc, the location of the disc bulge, disc herniation, is it impinging on a nerve root, is it not? That's another factor. Someone's adherence to a spine sparing program and their exercise program, what is it like? Are they moving well? Do they not move well? If they move well, then they're probably going to be able to manage their disc issues and not have any symptoms. If they aren't moving well and have these disc issues, it's probably just a matter of time until they reach that threshold where they have created pain and symptoms. So there's some considerations as to why people may not have pain and have these disc issues. So right there, an MRI would not be a good indication to classify someone with back pain because people may not be symptomatic. So there always has to be, I'd say, a physical assessment that goes along with the MRI, and the MRI needs to be correlated with the physical assessment and if someone has symptoms. So my recommendation would be to go see a clinician that specializes in back pain and can give you a proper diagnosis. Okay, next question, and last couple questions here. I know sit-ups are basically the number one thing to avoid. What about decline sit-ups where you keep your torso perfectly straight and the spine perfectly neutral the whole movement. You'd only bend at the hips. Would this be a safe movement? And is it effective for working the abs? Thanks again. Okay, so my first question would be to ask, why do you want to perform sit-ups? So from the sounds of things, you want to train your abs. Now, I would say you could train your abs in better ways than performing sit-ups. You can do different planking variations, different carries, pull-off press, whatever it is to train the abdominals and perhaps spare the spine. Now, I would say yes, by using a decline bench and keeping your torso neutral, that would be better and help spread back a little bit. But the problem is you're still going to have flexion occurring. There's still going to be that motion, that repetitive cycle with the sit-up. So my suggestion would be, is it effective for working the abs? Sure, yes, it's going to be effective. You're going to be working the abs, but more so you're working your hip flexor, your psoas more specifically. But I mean, you have to ask yourself, why do you want to perform sit-ups? What is your intentions out of them? I would say if you're looking to kind of spare the low back, there are better exercises out there that you can perform as opposed to performing a variation of a sit-up where you have more of a neutral torso. Now, if you're just holding this position like an isometric hold, then I'd say that's probably fine if you're using that as more of an assessment. But just the repetitive motion would be my concern, and you do have flexion occurring in the low back still. And that can be a problem for someone with existing back issues. So overall, I would say there's better choices out there than performing decline sit-ups. Now, that's it for this YouTube Q&A. If you guys have any questions, anything you want me to cover in a future Q&A, or maybe just a future video itself, please leave a comment below, and I'll be happy to address that. Okay, thanks guys. Take care, and all the best, and see you guys soon.